My name is Rob McCoy, and I'm a candidate for the 44th Assembly seat for the California Assembly, and it's a privilege to be with all of you today. I wanted to share with you before I begin, I want to introduce you to part of my family. 2 of my 5 children are here, but more importantly, my wife is here. Shall we stand up? This is my wife, Rachel. My daughter, Kelly. And this is kind of cool. I have not only my daughter, but my son-in-law, and they're expecting their first child in September. Molly and Michael, would you guys stand up? My daughter, Natasha, we adopted her from Russia when she was 12. She's 20 now. She works down in Oxnard. She's working today. My 2 boys are Boy Scouts, and they're at Camp Creek. And my 15-year-old son, Daniel, probably saw him in the Acorn, just got his Eagle Scout award. So they all take after their mother. Well, it's a privilege to be with you today. I wanted to share with you a little bit about myself and why I'm running. And I wanted to begin with this idea of the California Assembly and making an impact. I've heard a lot of talk from some of the candidates today and their position on a number of things. But I wanted to look at us as a whole, as a Republican Party. All of us have ideas of how we're supposed to fix the fractured aspects of our party. We want to build our base. We see in Ventura County alone, we have a 39% Democrat registration, 36% Republican, and the fastest growing party in California is a declining state. Folks like to segment us by our ethnicity or our minority. And the tragedy of that is our founding fathers said we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, among those being life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It goes on to say, for this reason, governments were instituted among men to protect those unalienable rights, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It was the French Revolution that tried to model the American Revolution, but they said it a little differently. They said liberty, equality, and fraternity. Everybody likes liberty. Everybody likes liberty. And this idea of equality, we all have the exact same. But it has to work with this fact of being a part of a fraternity, or a minority, or a Soviet, or a union. And if you have more than the other person, you can take it from them and make them equal, and they're not going to like it, and they're going to complain, and what are you going to do? Well, the symbol of the French Revolution was the guillotine. You see, in our culture today, we're trying to segment our people by our minority instead of realizing that we're all created with unalienable rights. America is the most amazing place on the face of the earth, because when you come to the United States of America, regardless of your ethnicity or where you travel from, the minute you become a citizen, you're an American. You can live your whole life in Japan, and I've traveled over 30 different countries, and I've seen this even throughout Europe. You can be a resident of that nation, and then you can apply for citizenship, but you'll never be considered a Japanese. But in the United States of America, you're an American regardless of your ethnicity. We're trying and attempting to divide us by our ethnicity. If we want to speak of minorities, I represent one of the largest minorities in America. Folks wonder why a minister is running for office. I represent the faith community. There's 85 million of us. They're disenfranchised. In 2008, 2012, it's been a precipitous decline in voter turnout in the faith community for Republicans. We're dissatisfied. A lot of folks feel like we're being treated like the ugly rich uncle. They want our money, but they don't want us in the family photo. But I'm here to build the party. I want to be a part of it. I see that we need to unify in this time, not based on our ethnicity or our minorities, but the reality that we're all Americans. We have something to bring to the table. We have to reason together and understand. And so with that being said, when I look at the 85 million in the faith community, only 25% of them are engaged in the voting process. If we were to move that constituency 10 points, we would dominate all 550,000 elections all throughout the country. We don't need to be less conservative, we need to be more persuasive. We have the ideas. When we look at California, this idea of an assembly seat, what is one man going to do to make a difference in a Democratic-dominated legislature that has a supermajority? It's interesting that when Calderon and Wright and Leland Yee were all indicted, that saved Proposition 13. One person can make the difference, and I plan on doing that. I've heard as previous candidates have talked about this crazy train and the rail train. What bothers me is up in the Mojave, we had the spaceport, which was this advanced technology going into space, the absolute antithesis, or the absolute epic of modernity. And we lost it. It moved to Texas. And what are we going to get in exchange? Nobody rides on trains anymore. And they're going to send it to Bakersfield. Bakersfield doesn't want it. They just want their water turned back on. All the 800,000 gallons are going out. 800,000 gallons going out to the Pacific Ocean to protect the non-indigenous fish while we're fallowing our ground. What culture destroys its food source? You see, the greater the government, the greater the poverty. The smaller the government, the greater the prosperity. I have in front right here one of my favorite presentations. This represents all the California-funded state agencies, 550 of them. And there's absolutely more, actually. All these folks have pensions. They have all kinds of fun things in store for the taxpayers. One of these state agencies is called the California Business Portal. I always wondered where our jobs went when they flushed them. 70% of Texas's growth is our businesses leaving the state.
That's right. Yeah.
I have the endorsement of Governor Rick Perry because he said, Rob, a strong California makes a strong nation.
Yeah.
It's easy to come and pick the jobs out of California because they are not business savvy and they don't care about business in this state. Fix it.
Yep.
I said, yes, sir. I have the endorsement of Governor Mike Huckabee. He understands how to reach out to folks that have been disenfranchised. I have the endorsement of Senator Rand Paul. Now, as an assemblyman to have the 3 top presidential candidates endorsing me. The reason why is because I've traveled to over 14 states with these men. I've spoken to over 50,000 people. And the idea is building the base. I want to build the Republican base right here in Ventura County. I have a vision for California. When we're done here, we're going to the next county, and the next county, the next district. When I see Susan Shelley lose by less than 400 votes, it's unconscionable. We should have every one of our assembly people walking that precinct, and we should encourage and build the base in California. I'm not going to Sacramento to tell them what to do. I'm going to Sacramento to represent the 500,000 people of this district. You tell me what you want done. I'm here to serve you. Folks, folks ask me, as a pastor, how do you plan on being an assemblyman? It's real simple. You just take the 800 members of my congregation, and my responsibility as a pastor is to serve them. I serve them in every capacity. As a sheriff's chaplain in this community, I've also served. I know what it's like to meet people at their most difficult time in their life. I know what it's like to go and help them to the best of my ability. And I'm just going to multiply that over 500,000. That's going to be all the citizens of our district. But I will tell you this. As a sheriff's chaplain, I was called on to a Sikh home. And as I entered this home, I was told that there was a sudden infant death. The baby had died. I was a Protestant chaplain going to a Sikh home. As I walked through the doors of that home, the mother met me at the door and she handed me her dead baby. She said, please fix this. I can't do that. But what I did bring is hope and encouragement. I was with the family through the memorial services. I walked them through the process of grieving. But I learned something that day. There are things you're going to want from me that I'm incapable of giving you. But everything within my power, I assure you, will give it all. I'm a candidate for the 44th Assembly. And I'm running against another Republican and a Democrat. The Republican, I really like him. I really like him. I'm going to beat him, but I really like him. He's an up-and-coming star. But he's 26 and I'm 49. I've gone through a lot of things. And I'll say this. The Democrat, everyone thought she was a Republican. She's not. She said she wants to keep the lock that the Democrats have on Sacramento. There are a lot of Republicans that have been bamboozled in thinking that she's one of them. She isn't. She voted for Obama. She's all about big government, and over $90,000 of her money has come from the public unions. And as FDR said, was a Democrat. Speaking of government unions, he says, beware of the man who feathers his nest with the wings of the American eagle. When they start electing their officials to go into Sacramento and they sit down at the table to negotiate with the public employees, now we don't have a seat at the table. We're the one paying the dollars. We don't need another Democrat Sacramento. I'm going up there to change it. I need your help. And I'm so thankful to be with you this day. God bless you guys, and thank you very much.